Hello and welcome to ITV News Meridian.
Tonight's headlines here in the southeast. As rules are relaxed around foreign travel, we look at what it means for passengers and whether it's the boost the travel industry is looking for.
Wait! Jump on fireman! Wait!
Live streaming their pursuit from Kent Police. The men jailed after they tried to make a getaway while recording their chase.
Also this Friday evening, a new way of makeup, the new look for vegans.
And an emblem of the past, a new home for a veteran of days gone by after a painstaking project. Good evening. In the last hour, major changes to the rules for international travel have been announced by the government. From the 4th of October, people who are double jabbed will no longer need to take a test before they return to the UK. And from the end of October, they won't have to take a PCR when they get back, only a lateral flow test.
Green and amber list countries have also been merged into one category of lower risk countries, and popular holiday destinations like Turkey will be taken off the red list in time for the school half term. Well, our political correspondent Phil Hornby is in Westminster for us tonight with the latest. Phil.
Stacey, it still all sounds a little bit complicated, doesn't it? But the government insists this is a simplification of the system. But will it be enough to save the thousands of jobs in our region that depend on the travel industry? Mike Pearce now reports on what this announcement means.
The hope is today's changes will get the industry back to some sort of normality. Aviation and cruise remains around 70% down, with tens of thousands of airport workers around Gatwick and Heathrow on furlough. It will end in a fortnight. The big question is, will it be enough to save many from losing their jobs in hard-hit towns around our airports?
Obviously it's good for the airport and the local community, so yeah, better. It's good news, on the up.
Well, it would be fantastic news, wouldn't it? You've got a great big airport next door, all the
we
business.
We need people working at the airport again. We've got so many people cut down hours and everything else at the moment.
Still the flights are not running properly. Before the pandemic there were so many flights, but I don't think still we have that many flights running. So I think it may take some more time.
It would make it easier if they do relax just some of the tests that you have to go through.
The government say from October the 4th, the traffic light system will be scrapped and replaced with a list of countries you should not travel. For fully vaccinated passengers, PCR tests taken before travel to the UK will be scrapped, and tests when you return will be replaced with cheaper lateral flow ones. And more countries are coming off the red list of banned places, but for many it will still be confusing.
Our industry desperately needs some changes, and they have to make it easier for people to travel, especially now most people are double vaccinated, and we should bring it in. They should bring it in line with other European countries, which for double vaccinated people, they have made it much easier to travel.
For those who rely on travel, like taxi driver Dawn, who makes regular trips to Gatwick and Heathrow, it's been exceptionally hard.
I'm actually quite excited that they're going to be lifted, quite excited, really pleased that hopefully we will get some more business from that. COVID obviously has had a massive effect on the taxi trade, massive. And also so has the new hybrid working.
One indicator that the return will be slow is Eurostar. They say they won't be stopping in Kent until at least 2023. While we may be easing the rules, we're still banned from places like the United States, with restrictions in many other countries. For local travel companies, the pain is far from over. Mike Pearce, ITV News.
Today's announcement is not before time, according to many MPs here who've been crying out for changes like this for months. Here's the Transport Secretary.
I desperately want to see the international travel sector restart again. And this gives them the opportunity to do that. And as you say, not a moment too soon, but following that careful balance of, ensuring that the health of everybody is looked after in return for the freedom of those who do go abroad to travel as easily as possible. And that's what this system today will deliver.
The changes come too late, of course, for the summer holidays. There are hopes that the half-term getaway will be able to go ahead. We're still waiting confirmation of the exact date when you'll no longer have to take one of those dreaded expensive PCR tests on your return. But as Mike said at the end of his report, this is just about the rules here. If you are going abroad, check the rules there as well.
Phil Hornby, thanks very much for that.
And you can find out all the countries that have moved from the red list and more details on the changes on our website, itv.com/Meridian.
Robbers who live streamed themselves being pursued by Kent Police have been jailed for a total of 9 years.
At one stage, the three men drove at speed through red lights, headed towards oncoming cars and drove round a roundabout the wrong way in their attempts to flee capture, all while broadcasting the chase.
Well, officers say not only did the men terrify the victims of the initial robbery, but they also put the lives of other motorists and pedestrians at risk as they made their escape in Dartford. Vanessa Edwards has the story.
Help us block off the fence, I beg you, we're gonna die today.
A high-speed car chase on one of Kent's busiest roads. But this isn't a film, it's shocking footage of three young men being pursued by the police, streamed live on the internet. 20-year-old Salah Ibrahim from Gravesend is in the passenger seat. His 21-year-old brother Shamil is driving. The chase started on an afternoon last January when Salah and his friend Effiong Ansar robbed a man in Dartford, threatening him with a machete. Witnesses raised the alarm and Kent police officers gave chase. Salah Ibrahim streamed the whole thing on a social media account in his name, providing detectives with evidence for his own conviction.
They are filming from the inside of the vehicle. We're now parallel with the services at Cobham.
The Ibrahim's car was finally brought to a halt on the A2 and the men were arrested.
Get on the floor! Get down! Get on the floor! You're under arrest!
Kent police say it's a testament to the professionalism of their officers that nobody was hurt.
The driver of this vehicle, the offending vehicle, he had no consideration whatsoever for members of the public. So our officers really acted professionally in ensuring that not only did the pursuit end safely, but they also detained those suspects and brought them to justice.
The three men, along with two others, appeared at Woolwich Crown Court to admit offences including robbery, attempted robbery and dangerous driving. They were sentenced to a total of more than 9 years in prison. Vanessa Edwards, ITV News.
A man has appeared in court charged with the murder of Sergeant Matt Ratner. The officer from East Grinstead in Sussex died after a shooting at a police station. Louis de Zoyser, who's 24, is accused of shooting him in the chest while handcuffed during a search at the custody suite in London last September. No plea was asked for or entered. Another review hearing has been set for December.
Insulate Britain protesters closed part of the M25 in Kent again today. For the third time this week, police were called out just after 8:30 this morning as the climate change demonstrators blocked Junction 3. The Home Secretary, Priti Patel, has branded their actions as selfish.
The MP for East Worthing and Shoreham has condemned anti-vaccination protesters who've been targeting school children in his constituency. Tim Lawton says trying to scare youngsters into not having the vaccination is not right and the demonstrators should be ashamed of themselves.
I'm fully in favour of people being able to protest and for freedom of speech. But targeting children outside of school, holding up placards that say vaccinations can cause heart attacks and can kill you is completely reckless and irresponsible. And I've had complaints from constituents whose children have been scared by this, asking them, are you now going to have a heart attack? Because they know their parents have had that vaccination.
You're watching ITV News in the Meridian region. Coming up.
The policing minister comes to see a new way of working with the targeting of crime hotspots.
And you can find more on today's top stories in the region throughout the day on our website. Go to itv.com/Meridian. You can call us, the number is on your screen. And remember, you can also follow us on Facebook and Twitter.
Next tonight, police forces in Kent and Sussex are to get more funding to tackle violent crime after a successful pilot scheme in Essex saw cases drop by more than 70%.
Essex Police carried out the trial of hotspot policing in Southend, where officers are put on foot patrol in crime hotspots for just 15-minute periods. It's being described as a return to old-fashioned policing, but smarter, as Hannah Pettifer now reports.
It used to be Bobby's on the beat, but in Essex it's now data-driven policing. Over the past year, Essex Police has run a trial on hotspot policing in Southend, mapping out the areas of where and when the most crime occurs, and putting police officers into these areas in short, sharp, highly visible patrols. Lewis Basford came up with the idea as part of his master's degree in criminology at Cambridge.
It's about just being the police officer on the ground, but at the right time, at the right place. So through that data, we could tell what time was actually that most hot, and make sure we put the police officer in at the right time, at the right place. It's making sure we're getting the cost reward for them doing that foot patrol.
They found there were just 20 spots, each measuring 150 metres square, where almost 50% of violent crime occurred. In Southend, it was largely clustered around the town centre.
The tactic seems incredibly simple: put a visible police presence in areas that are more prone to crime. But what they found was that it only took 2 police officers on a 15-minute foot patrol in these hotspots to have a significant impact.
On the days they were on patrol, violent crime reduced by 73% and street crime by 32%. In one day, officers hit between 6 to 12 different hotspots.
Yeah, I mean, years gone by, it's been a case of, I'll go and do some foot patrol, high visibility policing, with no real aim to it. But obviously, the data that's been shown shows that it does work, especially when it's targeted in the right areas.
It's going back to the original sort of Bobby on the beat, seeing a police officer walking around, especially around here. People come up to us and they tell us it's really good to see a Bobby on the beat.
The trial has the backing of the Home Office and Policing Minister Kit Malthouse. £4 million has been given to 18 police forces across the country for its implementation.
Surely what it proves is that there just has to be more Bobbies on the beat.
Well, it proves that there needs to be more police officers. That's why we're recruiting 20,000 extra. We're doing really well on that recruitment. But it also shows that we can use them very smartly to reassure the public there's presence, there's a sense of governed space, but also to suppress crime. You know, the big falls in violence and other types of crime they're seeing in the public realm here in Southend is something that we think we can reproduce across the country.
Hotspot policing has now been deployed across the whole of Essex, with the force saying early indications are starting to show a reduction in overall crime. Hannah Pettifer, ITV News, Southend.
And the ITV Evening News continues with the national and international news at 6:30. With more details, here's Chris Shipp.
Coming up, fewer tests and more green list destinations. We'll have details of the major shake-up to international travel rules for many of us. The government says it'll make holidays simpler and cheaper, but is it in time to save struggling travel firms? Also ahead, the shocking figures that reveal a woman is killed every 3 days as police are told to prioritise the issue. Plus,
I still can't get a call.
Emma Raducanu on her return home and why even she can't get on a court. Join me at 6:30.
Will do, Chris. Now, the aircraft restoration team based at Rochester Airport have faced many challenges since they first took delivery of a battle and weather-worn warplane in 1977.
Yes, the Spitfire delivered to them 3 years ago was little more than a shell, and the client wanted it fully restored to a strict deadline. But despite COVID and lockdowns, volunteers have made it happen. Here's John Ryle.
Never before in the field of aircraft restoration has so much been expected of so few. 3 winters ago, this was Spitfire RW388 arriving at Rochester Airport.
Really, what you were looking at is a shell. There wasn't really much inside it.
It had been on public display outside in Stoke-on-Trent for decades, and one way and another, a lot of parts went missing.
But over the years, they've taken various bits and pieces off, to overhaul or to clean or whatever, and it appears that with changes of sort of management, with people's personal lives have intervened, those bits and pieces have probably just disappeared.
Stoke was the birthplace of Spitfire designer Reginald Mitchell, and the City Council there asked the small team at Medway Aircraft Preservation Society to restore the plane to its 1940s condition so that it could be the star attraction of a new Spitfire museum. This album is the component-by-component log of the 3-year, £600,000 restoration that followed.
And I found Facebook, there's all sorts of closed groups, and they put you in touch with various traders, and we arranged swaps. Some universities even we arranged swaps with, various bits and pieces that we had. We manufactured an awful lot, and we had manufactured an awful lot of other bits and pieces that we perhaps couldn't produce ourselves. So it gradually came together over the period of the 3 years.
And thanks to the expertise of Phil Cole and the volunteers here, the plane was restored on deadline and delivered back to Stoke in time for Battle of Britain Day.
The Spitfire was the only fighter aircraft in production before, during and after the Second World War. No other aircraft did that. So an amazing longevity. But that was based on the fact that my great-uncle designed an aircraft that could be modified. There were 24 different variants of Spitfire.
They represent an awful lot of sacrifice for people, manufacturing them, designing them, and of course flying and maintaining them, the front line. That generation, of course, is fast disappearing. That's my parents' generation. They've both gone. And if we don't preserve it now, it's only thin aluminium, it will go. It will return to nature.
Instead, it has returned to its former glory. John Ryle, ITV News.
Now, there's been a huge rise in popularity of vegan beauty products in the past few years, with vegan skincare ranges almost tripling since 2014.
As a result, some household cosmetic brands are switching their ingredients to attract a wider audience. Here's Amrit Birdie.
Walk into any high street chemist and you will undoubtedly find vegan makeup and skincare ranges on the shelves. That's despite only 3% of the UK population following a vegan diet. Vic Wood owns a vegan cosmetics company in Hove near Sussex and says she's seen the appetite for vegan beauty grow drastically in recent years.
To start with, all our customers were pretty much vegan, and now we see a real mix of people who want to find a source that's trustworthy for cruelty-free and ethical products. I think people are much more concerned these days about where the makeup is coming from, how it's produced, whether it's been tested on animals, and what ingredients it has.
This cosmetics manufacturing company produces a wide range of products, including many vegan formulas. But ticking the green box isn't always simple. Making products vegan, cruelty-free and natural can be a juggling act for manufacturers like this, with each term having very different and distinct requirements.
Consumers want to make an ethical choice, and vegan is the most obvious place to start. If it's vegan, then it contains no animal-derived products, whereas if it's cruelty-free, none of the raw materials within the cosmetics have ever been tested on animals. Sometimes making a product vegan means you might have to use more petrochemical products, which is not what the consumer wants or brands want these days. So all of these requirements, cruelty-free, vegan and natural, or make it more of a challenge for the chemists who have to source different raw materials.
Vegan beauty blogger Amber George, known online as Amber the Vegan, thinks social media has a large part to play in the trend.
I do think social media is helping because it's just such so inspirational to see that how good your makeup can look with these products, and that animals really don't have to be put through these tests and just be included as ingredients even to look good. Vegan beauty is maybe an easy first step for people to take who maybe are interested in veganism but aren't ready to go fully vegan yet.
Whether vegan beauty is a passing trend or not, for some it seems knowing what goes on their face is just as important as what's on their plate. Amrit Birdie, ITV News.
Well, there are so many events going on this weekend. So what does the weather have in store? Pip's in the weather studio. Pip, is it good news?
Well, yes and no. It's going to be a weekend very much of two halves. So Saturday, arguably the better of the 2 days. Lots of dry weather, some sunny spells, and still on the warm side for mid-September as well. However, this is the situation on Sunday. The Met Office have already popped a warning out, a yellow warning for heavy rain. It's all thanks to a very slow and erratic moving weather front. It's going to work its way steadily eastwards overnight Saturday into Sunday. And this yellow zone is the area at risk of disruption. This is where we expect that front to stall, and when it stalls we'll start to see some pretty heavy downpours, so 30 to 40 millimetres possible in a fairly short space of time locally. That's around 1 to 2 inches, and that of course could lead to some disruption, so lots of spray and standing water on the roads, and maybe even the risk of some localised flooding.
Pip, it was all looking so promising until then. To be fair, September hasn't been too shabby, has it?
No, that's right. Yes, September so far, we're getting the mid-month stats in now. It's been drier for most, and also, no surprise, it's also been a little warmer than average, not just here in the south, but up and down the UK. So to the right there, you can see the sorts of values we'd be expecting at this time of year, hovering in the mid-teens. However, we've been up in the high teens, low 20s, and it looks as though that warmth will continue into tomorrow. Not so for Sunday, though. Let's get all the details with the full forecast.
Great Western Railway sponsors the ITV Meridian weather.
So a bit of a changeable picture through the course of the weekend. Saturday, arguably the better of the 2 days. Lots in the way of dry weather, some sunny spells, the potential for a few showers to break out later in the day. But it's Sunday we've got our eye on, some heavy downpours possible, and a Met Office yellow warning coming into force as a result. So this is what's going on. We've currently got a weather front sat out across western parts, and it's this weather front that will work its way very slowly and erratically eastwards through the course of the weekend. By the time it reaches us on Sunday, it could have pepped up quite a bit, and we have that Met Office yellow warning coming into force from midday onwards, the potential for some localised disruption. Out there at the moment though, all looking very quiet, so lots of dry weather starting the night off. As the night wears on, we'll see a bit more cloud coming our way, and that could give rise to 1 or 2 light showers. But for all of us, I think a fairly mild night, temperatures staying up in the teens for many. Tomorrow morning then, quite a mild start, a bit cloudy first thing, 1 or 2 residual showers, but it won't be long before conditions start to improve. Plenty of sunny spells coming through, and in the best of the sunshine, temperatures a little up on today's values, peaking at a fairly respectable 23 Celsius. These are the high tides for tomorrow then. For Sheerness, you can see just the one there, 11:27, and Chatham also just the one, 11:36 in the morning. Looking ahead then, well, for Sunday, we will see some fairly wet weather coming our way, 30 to 40 millimetres possible in places, the risk of some disruption as a result. That front will slowly clear on Monday, but I think it will be a slow process, and it probably won't be until Tuesday before we see more in the way of drier and brighter weather making its return. Do take care. I'll see you again soon. Bye-bye.
Great Western Railway sponsors the ITV Meridian weather.
Just time to look ahead to the latest episode of All Around Britain.
This week on All Around Britain, we're in Jersey in the Channel Islands to explore the stunning 16th century Elizabeth Castle, once home to saints, soldiers and royalty.
We'll be discovering its dramatic past, the battles won and lost here, and explore the relics from the Nazi occupation in the Second World War. Also on the show this week, we meet the family of costume designers celebrating all colours of Leeds West Indian Carnival.
It is a nice family affair. So when we're all together, that is a real joy.
Behind the scenes at Durham Cathedral, we find out how it's kept looking beautiful entirely by hand.
And we'll experience the tranquility of Chichester Harbour, where there's more going on than meets the eye. So we'll see you this Sunday at 11:55 on ITV.
For another trip all around Britain.
Looks great, and in just a moment, the ITV Evening News tonight with Chris Shipp.
For now though, from the team here at ITV Meridian, have a great weekend. Freddie's back on Monday with Stacey. Bye-bye.
Good night.